All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So, CImini of ESPN dropped an article. Of course, I'll leave it linked down below in the description box. Talked a little bit about Justin Fields, a few of the obvious draft targets: Tyler Warren, Membu, Will Campbell, at that 7th overall pick. But did include a section on Shamar Stewart, right, edge rusher from Texas A&M. Funny enough, I actually did a video on this exact topic around like 3 or so weeks ago, but it kind of got lost in the shuffle, and there was other news happening, so I never ended up posting it. But Shamar Stewart is, I would say, the most polarizing player in the draft. Some guys are like, oh my gosh, the upside is absolutely insane. Some dudes are like, you know what, I'm just going to steer clear. If he is that explosive, that powerful, why did he only have 4.5 career sacks? And then it seems like some fans are just kind of in between, right? As we all know, defensive end, it's not just how many sacks are you getting. It's are you affecting the quarterback? Are you pushing the pocket back? How are you against the run? Can you set the edge? Are you versatile? Can you bounce around the defensive line? Like, there's so many things that go into, all these different positions here. We can't just look at a single stat and just say, yeah, this guy's terrible. So, when it comes to Shamar Stewart, it's funny because he's from Florida. And I remember him coming out of high school because he was the #1 high school player. And there was some buzz with the Miami Hurricanes, but it felt pretty, his connection to Texas A&M was pretty strong. And he goes to A&M and it just doesn't really click as far as the overall production is concerned, right? Sacks and tackles aren't really that many, right? Tackles for loss, just not there's not a whole lot there. He's playing in games, but the actual big time stats just aren't appearing on the sheet. Again, 37 games, 4.5 sacks, 65 career tackles. But when you look at Shamar Stewart, I mean, he definitely looks the part. He looks like someone who is built for the NFL, just a game wrecker, just someone who any defensive coordinator would want on his team. Yeah, we can move you around a little bit, 4-3 D end, but if you run a system like a 3-4, he is capable of standing up. Although I do feel like a 4-3 is probably the better fit. Just stick him at edge. I mean, you look at the pure power, explosion, speed, whatever size, right? As a senior in high school, he was listed at 6'5", 272, I believe. That is, imagine that in high school, right? You're an opposing offensive lineman. You're going up against Shamar Stewart, built like that. Looks like he's ready for the NFL. 6'5", 272. And he's running just under a 4.6 40. That is just a physical freak. If you take a look at the RAS score, the relative athletic score, some people really like that this metric. Some people don't really care about it, but I do think it's relevant to bring up here. He was graded unofficially as a 9.99 out of a possible 10. This ranks 3rd out of 1,802 defensive ends from 1987 to 2025, which is just absolutely remarkable to think about. I mean, he has the length too, the long arms, plus 34-inch arms, vertical jump. It seems like he has everything. But quick disclaimer, the RAS did not take into account the agility scores for what that's worth. But again, I think it's still relevant to talk about, right? Over 1,800 defensive ends from 1987 to 2025. Shamar Stewart graded out as the number 3 D end. So the upside is there. And really the question that, and this is the kind of the same exact question, the title of that video was, could Aaron Glenn maybe and Darren Muji have a curveball type of approach at spot number 7? In the case of Shamar Stewart, you're looking at the Jets defense. It is probably going to be a 4-3. Aaron Glenn, the defensive-minded guy, could be looking at Shamar Stewart saying, if I work with him, right, former Texas A&M Aggie, I can really maximize it, right? I can get just an elite level pass rusher, an elite level defensive end if he works with me in my style of defense. Of course, working with Steve Wilks, a veteran defensive mind as well. We already have the 2 pass rushers in Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald, so he's not tasked like Aiden Hutchinson in Detroit, where it's like, hey, you're the go-to guy. You're instantly the best defensive lineman on the team. Offenses know that. They can kind of single you out. It's like, no, we can kind of mask you to a certain degree and not put all the pressure on you immediately, and really just let me get my hands on this ball of clay, if you will, right? Could Aaron Glenn do that? We don't know the tendencies of Darren Muji. If they really value athletic skill sets, if they really value upside, we could see a curveball. Think Trent Baalke, right? His blueprint for drafts, wasn't really so much the production. It wasn't really so much the the technical polish, if you will, how a player's playing the position, how he's been coached. It's more so that athletic upside. What can you be? If you are grading out better, if you're faster, you're stronger, you're more powerful, you're longer, you're more versatile than your opponent, with our coaches, you're going to turn into a Hall of Famer. A lot of these Hall of Famers are just athletic freak shows. So that was kind of the Trent Baalke method. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with the Jets, but we just don't have that. We don't have that clarification on what the Jets value over other traits. Here's the deal, though, right? Actually, real quick before I dive into my thoughts, against the run, Shamar Stewart is actually really, really good. I know everyone focuses on the career sack number, as they should, but as a run defender, a straight run defender, he's above average, in my opinion. I think he's really, really good in that area. I think for me, although the upside is crazy with Shamar Stewart, I look at the Jets right now, and I think, you know what, we have to hit a home run with the 7th overall pick. I doubt he's going to be there at 42, but with number 7, we have to get the closest thing to a sure thing as possible. Muji cannot miss on his first draft pick as new GM. It's just, it can't happen. One of the biggest things that have plagued the Jets over these last handful of years are the poor draft classes from top to bottom, right? Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, of course, right? Jermaine Johnson. But, if you start looking at like the mid rounds, the late rounds, we just don't have, it's a roster right now with a lot of holes. We have a lot of depth issues. So is the big time swing for a player in Shamar Stewart the right move? I'll say this, if he is the pick at 7 on draft night, my mind will jump to, okay, you know what? I'm going to give Aaron Glenn the benefit of the doubt. Like, if they're willing to take him within the top 10, like that is a big time pick. It is a big time risk based off of the production. If they are willing to do this, these guys really wanted these jobs. If they're willing to do this, I'm going to opt and say, hey, you know what? Okay, you guys have a plan. You guys have really done your homework here, and there's 100% belief from a top-down organizational perspective here. Shamar Stewart's going to be that dude. I think one interesting pro comparison for Shamar Stewart is Danielle Hunter. Just looks like a Greek god, right? He has the height, he has the size, he has the arm length. Very, very, very similar numbers to Shamar Stewart. Even when you start diving into like 40 times and things of that nature. What was the big knock on Danielle Hunter coming out of college? Production. Did not have much pass rushing production whatsoever, right? We talked about it before. Shamar Stewart, 4.5 sacks in 37 games. Danielle Hunter, 4.5 sacks in 38 games. Eerily similar numbers, right? Both guys 4.5 sacks. One played 38, one played 37. We've obviously seen what Danielle Hunter has done, at the NFL level. One of the best of course, dealt with injuries, has missed a lot of time. But just strictly, hey, when Danielle Hunter's on the field, this guy is a freak show. Just a whirlwind out there. Just such a hard time. Speed to power, has technical pass rushing moves. You can move him around. He has been such a great pro player. By the way, who drafted him? Rick Spielman. Here's the difference, though, right, with Danielle Hunter and Shamar Stewart. Hunter, 3rd round pick. We're talking Shamar Stewart at pick 7. Okay, so you have a humongous gap there between, how much is a player worth as far as the draft is concerned. Now you can argue, okay, well, if he does turn into Danielle Hunter, the 7th overall pick is actually a steal for a player like that. Sure, it's a fair argument. But it's not the perfect comparison. It's very similar, but it's not one-to-one. Because you do look at Danielle Hunter's production outside of sacks, career tackles, over double the amount that Shamar Stewart had back in college. So I think when it's all said and done, man, I just want the Jets to come away from this draft with a future building block. Every Jet fan wants this, right? Come away with a future building block. Naturally, I kind of opt for the higher floor types of players because I think having a roster with a bunch of B minuses to B players is a very, very good thing, and you're always going to be competitive, as opposed to having this, swing for the fences. Some players work, some players don't, and then you have these elite stars, and then you have at the same time a lot of roster holes. You can pick out a roster of a really good football team, right? Philadelphia Eagles, they just won the championship. Kansas City Chiefs, who else? Buffalo Bills, Detroit Lions. You can go through positions by positions and say, hey, you know what? This is a team with good safety play. This is a team with good linebacker play. This is a team that gets after the quarterback. This is a team that can stop the run. They can catch passes. They have good quarterback play. It's not just, oh, they have one really good quarterback, or oh, they have one lockdown corner, and it's just pandemonium everywhere else. Chances are the teams that compete year in and year out, their rosters are really well rounded. I think those higher floor players, it speaks to, hey, maybe we should bring players in, acquire players that we know fit the culture, fit the system, and guys that we want to work with, and at the same time, they want to be here. The problem with that is, when you run into those big time games, do you have that star power to get you over the top? Right? Clearly, we haven't seen the Bengals win that Super Bowl despite elite quarterback play. We haven't seen the Bills win that Super Bowl with elite quarterback play. We haven't seen the Ravens win a Super Bowl with that elite quarterback play. Of course, Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, but that is one of the issues that you potentially run into when specifically looking at high floor NFL ready types of players. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Shamar Stewart, potential number 7 overall pick, or is this purely draft smoke? But it has been documented that the Jets, there seems to be a lot of interest in both Texas programs, the Longhorns and the Aggies. It seems like there's just a lot of buzz around both of those schools with the Jets, and Aaron Glenn specifically. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Thanks so much, and as always, go Jets.